You really don't want to know this, do you? Well, I got married in March 17th to the University of Missouri engineer Bob Paschal, and he had finished a year and a half ahead of me. But I felt he wanted me to get married earlier, but I felt that the degree, and especially a degree in journalism that I really was interested in, would be the best life insurance I ever had. Well, it's very, very fortunate because he ended up dying at a young age, at age 49. I was 42. We had two little kids to raise. That's later, but going back, he advanced very quickly in his career, and so we were moving every year or 2 years. And I could always get a job wherever we go, whether it was York, Alabama, or Memphis, Tennessee, or Oklahoma, any of those places. I've lived in a total of 13 states in my life. But he died young after a marvelous career. And while he was in different places, I could always get a job because being a University of Missouri graduate. So I worked in advertising, I worked in public relations, I worked for a couple of newspapers, one was Memphis Commercial Appeal, Sports Monitor, and then he died, and then I thought, what in the world am I going to do? And so I learned a lot from him. He was a very bright man, and he went very high up in the railroad industry. And so I ended up deciding, taking a little time, like a couple of months. I took about 3 months because I needed to get settled so my children could start in school in the fall. So since I lived all over, I had a good idea of the U.S. And so I traveled. I interviewed in various places, ended up taking a job heading public relations at Stevens College. And I came there, and I spent 5 years at Stevens in a very exciting time where there was a real opportunity to work nationally and all sorts of great, interesting things.
A little bit closer, because I'm scared to...
You want me to? After I left Stevens, I went to Vassar College and headed their public relations for a while. A very fine institution, very different from Stevens, but it was a very, very interesting time in my life. And then I decided I wanted to do something different, something that moved faster of all things. And I also wanted to live in San Diego, which I had fallen in love with through the years. Through various trips that took me there on PR and journalistic efforts. But so I ended up leaving Vassar and moving out to San Diego, where I started a national executive search firm, Carolyn Paschal International, which I headed for 21 years, and worked all over the nation, did a lot of public relations jobs, a number of investor relations, marketing, communication. As the time went by, I did quite a bit more work in fundraising. So in the last years, I was doing a tremendous amount of fundraising positions all over with hospitals and educational institutions, as well as communications type job. I think you might be interested. The first job I did was to find a head of investor relations for Coca-Cola. So I started off not knowing really anything about investor relations, but the people in the field taught me that on the phone. So don't forget the telephone is a very important tool, as well as the internet, but we didn't have internet then. But the phone, you really can communicate with people because you have instant answers, and the tone of voice you can tell a lot about.